you know, and I've spoken at length with Brian, and he talked about, you know, how the music and everything. But when you guys were recording some of the songs, did you notice that, oh, okay, this sounds good. It sounds different than what was on the radio, and that we could actually, you know, make a dent? Or did you just, what was it like?
Well, first of all, I think every song, when you already know what song you're gonna record when you hear it. When Brian's songs were brought to us, it was just like magic. One thing you cannot take from that brother is that, yo, Brian is talented. And back then, I think he was doing a lot of club stuff and house music because he loves house music. Like, he's a connoisseur. And to see how he can do a house track and then transition into like this deep R&B stuff, I was like, wow. You know, because usually producers are just one way.
Yeah.
They can wait at this and that's it. But I mean, when we heard Brian's stuff, it was just like a no-brainer. It was magic. I mean, you can pretty much see.
Mm. But how much? And I don't know, when you guys, before you got signed with RCA, did you guys, when to perform, was it always Cheryl singing lead and the rest of you doing the background, or did you guys mix around in with different songs prior to being signed?
Well, no, it wasn't like that. It was like that when we finally got the deal. Like, and even like demo wise, we were all just kind of collaborate. But Jodeci was out.
Okay, yeah. 91.
Jodeci was out, and it was just a lot of dope singers. Guy was hot.
Yeah.
And everybody was singing like with that churchy sound.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. It just made sense. It didn't help us any, but I mean, but I'm just saying, like, you know, for people to walk around and think you just have no talent or whatever, that's like a bad feeling. But you know, it worked. It was how it was supposed to be at the time, and that was that.
Yeah.
I can't really. I mean, I can't answer it from a producer standpoint or the record label standpoint, but I can tell you from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, so here you are. I mean, you're riding high off the first album. It's triple platinum. I mean, and you know, I'm sure by this time you've got your nice publishing stuff. Did you then see the benefits of being a writer behind the scenes as compared to an artist that gets signed and always owes the record label? No matter
Absolutely. Are you what? Of course. I saw that benefit right away, and they did too. And that's what caused the tension between them and them. You know, the management tried to set them up kind of against me. Like, okay, this next album, Brian made all the money on that last album. We ain't gonna let that happen again. Type of energy. Yeah. And that's what happened. So that's why they call an album A New Beginning. It's not so subtle smack in the face. So, and I got 5 songs on there, and none of them were singles. Just think about that.
So the question I had then is that you've done the first. It blows up. That it's very clear how the publishing and everything works, and every '90s artist would tell you that, man, we got, and Dawn Robinson, when I interviewed her, 2 cents per girl per record, so they're selling 10, 20 million, but they're only getting 2 cents. You know, so. It wasn't, you didn't sign them to RCA, you weren't there, but you didn't sign a production deal with them. So how is it that they could paint you as the villain when you were just doing your parts?
Because they were young, and I was too, and nobody really sits you down at that stage and tells you the mechanics of it all. You kind of figure it out as you go, and then you realize, oh man, because like even me, as much money as I was making, it still wasn't a good publishing deal. I did a horrible co-publishing deal that I never should have done. I should have never done a publishing deal at all.
Record companies don't care. They don't care. They don't care how something makes you feel. They don't care about your emotions. They don't care about how people are going to look at you or how, you know, their decision is going to affect the brand as a whole. They don't care. They just about making a record and making it great and making money. That's what it was. No one gives a damn about you. No.
That's so here you are, because I looked at the numbers. I saw It's About Time, 3 million. You know, you do 80% of the album. You do 4 tracks out of 17, because I know by the mid 90s people were doing 17, 20 tracks and interludes, but you only did 4.
On It's About Time I did 6 tracks.
It's About Time. I went and saw that either writing or producing.
Let's go through them. Let's go through them. Watch this. Week. We're gonna count. Week.
Yeah.
I Was Into You. Think You're Gonna Like It. Always on My Mind. Right Here. And one more. That's What I Need. 6. And actually it's 7 because I did co-produced and co-wrote, produced. It's Sisters of Voices in the House. So really it's 7, but 6 of my own compositions, and then a 7th is a co-write.
7 is a co-write, but okay. I'm just looking, because when I looked at it, I actually thought it had you.
Did you catch that? Did I name them all? I got them, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, because I just had the numbers here, but let me peek here, because I thought I saw you do 8, and I think the 9th one. Okay, here it is, right here. So
it's really 6, and then 7 with
Anything
with
I'm serving to you right here.
Oh, I forgot anything. No, it is. It's 8. It is 8.
Yeah, you're always on my mind.
It's 8. I forgot anything. I always forget anything. Yeah, it is. It is. It's 8. It's 8.
Yeah, you did 8, and then you had the and so then there was the week a cappella, which was out of the 14, which was sort of 14 tracks. The week a cappella.
8 solid joints. 8 solid joints. Yes.
Yeah. Then you did on the album. You had SWV in the House.
Right. That's a co-write.
Okay, with Coco, I think. Yeah, but as I said, you did. I did. That's why I said 8, 9. So yeah, so you did out of this whole stuff. They're coming with the new beginning. Did they not want to be in the studio with you anymore? They're thinking, man, you made all the money, look at your big house, and we're still living. And they were, was it?
No, because they knew better than that, because they couldn't just go in there. Once you establish a sound, you can't not use the sound. But what they were trying to do was show me that we don't need you. Like, so that's why you got them All-Star doing it. But thank God All-Star and I are friends. And he was as happy to make money off my songs as anything. He'll tell you right now, I send his kids to college off of the remix, the Anything remix, and the and Right Here Human Nature. He's done very well. And he got a big deal, his own production deal, based on doing those remixes. So we're good. But he did it the right way. He did something dope, and people heard what he could do, and then he parlayed it from there. What they tried to do was stifle me after I'd done something great for them. Yeah. It was like, but hold back, and now we're gonna go to this guy because he was able to deliver on these remixes. Maybe he can deliver, and they did. I love You're the One is my joint. I love that joint.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's okay. You're the One.
But how do you not put out a Fine Time, right?
Yeah, so as I said, because they went to the Neptunes, they even went to
they went to a lot of people. Troy Taylor.
Yeah. So
Eric Sermon.
Yeah, Faith and Chucky. Yeah.
Faith and Chucky, all friends of mine. We all peoples. Trust me, we all. The writer community is solid. We saw what was happening, but guess what? I knew that I wrote some solid stuff for them. What's it gonna be? Fine Time. That's what I'm here for. Solid tunes. And
but whose decision was it to? Because I thought the label makes a decision as to what singles get released, unless you were big.
Well, they did, but I mean, by that time, I think the management she was fraying relationships within them, the girls themselves. So it was all bad. Like, it was just all bad. Like, so their relationship with me soured when I realized they weren't going to release any of my singles. That's like a slap in the face when I had all the hits from the first album. So I wasn't looking like, like I wanted to be there myself. You know, I started writing for other people. I was like, let me get down with other people. I started to go in with Brandy, and my mind was elsewhere. I wrote Rain for Brandy. It was already about to cut it on her when RCA intervened and asked for it to be on SWV.
I know when you guys did went to New Beginnings, and the production changed. You got different producers and stuff. Was there any concern about losing your fans because who got used to the sound you had in About Time, and when you moved, you had did you have anything with Puffy? Was that with Puffy and someone? Yes, yeah. So it was a sort of different, but it was sort of different. I mean, I bought all your albums, but I'm just wondering, did you worry about fans might think, oh, this is not like Weak and our first album?
No, because when you're creative, you want to do just that. You want to be creative, and it's almost impossible to recreate something like Weak. You know what I mean? Like, we already gave you that. Now it's time to move on to something else. But of course, I don't think we ever strayed too far away from what the fans enjoyed. Now, I do say that third record, that Release Some Tension record, was horrible. With that record was so bad, and I think, that was actually after, they made some label changes, and the guy, the A&R who found SWV and all of those amazing records, for some reason, they let him go and brought somebody else in who totally destroyed that album. And he knows how I feel about that today, so I ain't saying nothing. But I mean, don't take my word for it. Look at it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Felt like that was a waste of our budget. I felt like, it was all of these damn rappers featuring SWV. I felt like we was on somebody else's album.
Yeah.
And it was a waste of our budget. It was just that, just the thought. Rain saved that record.
Yeah.
Rain saved that record, because that was the only reason I listened to that record. I ain't played nothing except for, I think it was a song on there called On and On. Andrea Martin wrote that song.
God rest her soul.
Yeah, and everything she did I thought was dope, but
yeah,
the album just had all of these rappers on there, and I'm like, I just thought it was stupid. It was very dumb business-wise. Like, why would you do that?
I know we all love Redman and the rest, but I know that it was the prelude of what happened to R&B, where they started to put more hip hop, and hip hop almost became okay, because you guys almost pretty much ushered in the fact that we get a hip hop artist singing R&B, and we get the R&B artist featuring, because that then became the norm, which it's still unfortunately the dominant part then, and I think that's more and more we lost the essence of you guys with a lot of those tracks that were being pushed out, and yeah, that was but you couldn't fight it. It's hard. I think we would wonder if you guys could fight it or do anything. You just had to accept what the label, how they spend the money.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, you can give them a hard time, but for what? When they have all the control. Okay, you want to give me a hard time? We're gonna push this record back.
Yeah.
So if we don't have a record, we can't tour, we can't make money.
Yeah.
So it ain't but so much you can do with the person that got the purse. When the person got the bag, what you gonna say?
Yeah.
They're spending money, So, but I've always been verbal about the fact that I thought that album was whack.
But then was that the last album you did with RCA then, because it didn't do as well as the first two?
I want to say that was, and it should, because that was terrible. And a guy who put that record together should have been fired. I don't think it was long after that he got fired, but he should have gotten fired.
After they did. Now we're on the third album.
Yeah. No, but so could you see when they were recording that the vibe? I mean, the times have changed, but
yeah, they were trying to force them to write on my stuff. Like it was like literally putting pen and paper in front of them and saying, "Okay, Brian has this idea, but y'all write something on it." And that's not how magic happens. Just let me tell you. That's
were they doing it to the other writers? Is it just Brian that they wanted to?
No, of course they were. Well, they were trying to, but I mean, if you're not really writers like that, it's not going to work, no matter who's producing it. So, you know, but Pharrell didn't need nobody to co-write "Use Your Heart," except him and Chad. So just like I didn't need nobody to co-write my joints. So the whole concept of doing that is what the point is that it's a forced, unnatural, unorganic thing to do, just so you can try to be participating in the publishing, and it was a whack vibe. Period.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
And the album just went platinum. So you know they pushed it out. It didn't do as well.
Right.
When that was when you could see the sales not going up, what's on your mind? Were you happy? I mean,
what was on my mind at that time? Lalah Hathaway, Usher. In everything else that I was working on at that moment, I was like, I can't put my eggs all in that one basket. I learned that, and I was glad I did learn that, because I was like, yo, even if Usher or Lalah don't sell records, I'm still getting paid to produce these records. So that was my bread and butter, is just working, period. You know, you never know what the records are going to really do. Yeah. So if you could just keep working, this is the point.
Yeah.
I'm still working now, baby. All these years later.
No, we're going to get that. I mean, but by the third album, though, you released some tension. You only had Rain, and I was like, wow, what's you know? That's
and I didn't want to be on there. I did not want to be on that album at all. They kind of begged me to put that on there, because I was, like I said, it was going to be for Brandy, and we were already cutting it, and I had gotten paid to do it on Brandy from Brandy's label.
Wow.
It got intercepted by Rodney Jerkins, who was in charge of her record at the time. It was the album that Boy Is Mine is on.
Yeah.
And he just chose to not have it on there. And so I got a call saying, okay, well, we, you know, even though we paid you to write that, because I got a little 4-song writing deal from Sylvia Rohn at that time, at Brandy's label Atlantic. And that was one of the 3 songs I wrote for Brandy. So I literally got paid to write that for her. And then we started to cut it in New York at P. Diddy's studio. And then we got shut down the next day, like, yo, it's a no-go. Rodney's, we're not going to use it. And so RCA called, and they already knew. They were like, please, we can't have a whole album without Brian Alexander Morgan on there. Can we please get this tune? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll cut it. And so that's how we ended up cutting Rain.
But how was it in the studio after all this? Was it tension in the studio with?
Isn't it ironic the album is called Release Some Tension? It was tension all over the place, man. I think, and that, you know what? The funny thing is, Coco recorded her things completely and utterly separate from them on that. So I don't know what. I think Coco had been pissed off at Missy or something. Like they had just recorded "Can We?"
Yeah.
With Timbaland and Miss, and something had happened because I remember that Missy invited me to her video shoot, to the video for "I Can't Stand the Rain," her first single. So, but she said, only bring Taj and Lelee. I was like, what? She said, yeah, only bring Taj and Lelee, because she was gonna let them be in a cameo at the end of the video. If you look at the end of the video, they are. It's a cameo. 702's in there. It's a lot of cameos at the end of that video. So I remember cutting Coco at Right Track Studios one day, and then the next day I cut Taj and Lelee's backgrounds to Rain at Electric Lady, Jimi Hendrix studio down in the Village. And then we took a cab over to Missy Elliott's video set to do the Rain. So all this Rain, huh? Check it out.
Goodness. Yeah, that's wow. I mean, but for yourself, as I think that, you know, going back, you said Rodney said no, we don't want Brian's track on it. Did he listen to it? I mean, did
he
you?
Loved it. He loved it. He loved it. He loved it. He loved it. I think he just didn't want it. It didn't fit his vision of what he was trying to do on Brandy at the time. Rodney was making a statement with Brandy's album, a Rodney Jerkins Dark Child whole entire statement. He had been given the reins, if you will.
Okay.
So he had power to say yay or nay.
Wow.
And he just, you know, kind of
It wasn't anything personal. It was more like, look, this is what I'm trying to do and stuff.
I don't know. I wasn't in his mind, but I know this. He didn't want it on there because it wasn't a Rodney Jerkins joint. So if it's not on there, then everybody's talking about everything else that ain't, you know, I'm not a factor. He made me a non-factor, put it that way.
Okay.
And it was, you know, at the time I was slightly devastated because I really loved Brandy and I wanted her to sing that. But it was the best thing that ever happened because Coco, now, after that energy that we had on that second album where it was like not so great in the studio,
yeah,
she came to sing on Rain, baby. That's what she gave me everything. And she even had a cold and she still delivered. And she was a sweetheart on that vocal record. And I remember I just was thinking, wow, she's never been this nice and sweet in the studio before. This is amazing. She gave me the delivery that I wanted. I didn't want it to sound like weak. I didn't want it to sound like any of those old things. I wanted it to be different.
Yeah.
And her level of sexiness on Rain is, I still to this day.
Full as a damn at capacity. My passion's about to explode. Yeah, yeah. I can't escape, it's surrounding me. I'm caught in a storm that I don't need no shelter from. Down on me, let your love fall like rain. Every little drip drop just on me, yeah, yeah, on me.